I thought I'd seen everything: fires, disasters, chaos. But nothing prepared me for this. The day my wife, a decorated Army colonel, was nearly bankrupted by a $250,000 HOA fee. And then had the cops called on her only for the officer to snap to attention and salute her as General. Ciao. Act 1. The Spark of Conflict. My name's Marcus. I'm 45, a retired firefighter. My wife, Patricia Patty to me, had just come home after 18 months deployed overseas. She's an Army colonel, tough as nails, sharper than anyone I know. We'd saved for years to buy our dream home in Willowbrook Estates. I even built her a gift while she was away, a full workshop garage. All permits in place, everything legit. I wanted her to come home to peace, to comfort. Instead, the HOA president came knocking. Delilah Thornwick. If you've ever seen the type perfect blonde bob, expensive blazer, heels clacking across the driveway like she's walking a runway instead of a neighborhood, then you know her. Clipboard in one hand, smug look on her face. She didn't say hello, didn't welcome Patty home. She shoved a notice into my chest. Your garage violates community standards. You can either tear it down or pay a compliance fee of $250,000. I laughed, thought she was joking, but she stared back, stone cold serious. Patty tried to stay calm. Military bearing, you know, but I saw her knuckles go white around the paper. She said, "That's more than this house cost. Show me where it says that in the bylaws." Delilah smirked. Article 12, Section C. Special assessments may be imposed at the board's discretion. Board's discretion. Translation. Whatever she felt like. That's when I knew this wasn't some misunderstanding. This was a shakedown. Kifis. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. It only got worse. The next week, letters from HOA lawyers started pouring in, Blackstone and Associates, accusing us of illegal business operations out of the garage, accusing Patty of violating zoning ordinances. Then came the petition. 37 neighbors' signatures demanding the garage be torn down. People I'd fixed roofs for, helped shovel snow with, turning on us like we were criminals. That one cut deep. I started to doubt myself. Sitting in the half-lit garage one night, papers stacked on the workbench, I thought, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not worth it. Maybe tearing it down would just be easier. Emily, my daughter, found me like that. She's 16, smarter than I was at her age. She said, "Dad, if you give up now, what does that teach me? That bullies win." That stung. And she was right. Patty came in next. Cool and steady like always. She put her hand on my shoulder and said, "This is tactical. We fight with evidence, not emotion." So we dug. We requested the HOA's financial records. And when they finally reluctantly handed them over, what we found floored us. Over 180 sand, siphoned out to a company owned by Delilah's brother. Maintenance contracts that never happened. Community upgrades no one ever saw. And that so-called $250,000 compliance fee. We weren't the first ones. At least 2 other families had been forced out under the same scheme. Emily, God bless her, took it even further. She wrote an article for her school paper, cross-checking the records, exposing the conflicts of interest. The Gazette picked it up. Suddenly, Delilah's little empire wasn't just our problem, it was under a spotlight. That's when Delilah snapped. She marched to our driveway with Tom, her husband/enforcer, and called the cops, claimed I threatened her life, claimed Patty assaulted her. I'll be honest, I thought that was it. I thought I was about to be cuffed in front of my wife and daughter. But Patty, she had already installed cameras. When the officer demanded to know what was happening, I just handed him the footage, and you could see clear as day it was Delilah who had come charging onto our property, screaming in my face. The officer hesitated, looked from me to Patty, and that's when Patty, still in uniform from court earlier that day, spoke calmly. "We'll present all of this to a judge." Even the cop nodded. Delilah's face, pure fury. For the first time, I thought, maybe, just maybe, we had a chance. Act 3. The Climax and Justice. Delilah wasn't done. She doubled down. Anonymous letters in the mailbox. Sugar poured into my truck's gas tank. Fake legal summons slipped under our door. Every dirty trick in the book. But then, everything turned on her. The Gazette published Emily's article. Bigger papers picked it up. HOA president under fire for embezzlement scheme. Residents started asking questions. The FBI started sniffing around. Finally, The HOA called an emergency meeting. 200 people crammed into the community hall. Delilah strutted in with her lawyer, with slideshows and graphs, acting like she still ran the show. She pointed at pictures of our garage, declaring it a danger. She wagged her finger at us, shouting about violations. Then it was my turn. I walked up with a laptop and a stack of papers. I laid out the permits, the financial records, the bank transfers to her brother's company. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. The numbers spoke louder than I ever could. The room buzzed. People gasped. Murmurs turned into shouting. And then Patty stood, in full uniform, needles gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Her voice cut through the chaos. I served 18 months overseas to protect this country, and I came home to find my family extorted by corruption. This ends tonight. Delilah went white as a sheet. She fumbled for her phone, dialed 911 right there in the hall. The officer who walked in looked around, spotted Patty, and then did something I'll never forget. He snapped to attention, saluted, and said, "What seems to be the problem, General?" The entire hall erupted. Cheers, clapping, neighbors shouting their support, and then another voice cut through the noise. "Delilah Thornwick, you're under arrest for embezzlement, wire fraud, and abuse of authority." 2 FBI agents stepped forward. The cuffs clicked shut around her wrists. Her lawyer froze, pale as paper. Tom tried to shout, but no one listened. For once, Karen wasn't in control. Oh. Final beat. Delilah was indicted. The HOA was dissolved. Its finances seized and audited. Families she'd bled for years finally got restitution. And me, I didn't celebrate. I didn't throw a party. I just went home with Patty and Emily, sat down in the quiet, and finally breathed. Mo. Final line lesson. When bullies hide behind rules and titles, the only way to beat them is with truth, courage, and the will to stand your ground. Erkens.